Welcome everyone who is joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about building an emergency fund, protecting your future before it needs saving. So, quick recap of week 4, what we did last week. We talked about the good debt and the bad debt, and then we said that bad debt items you use your credit card to purchase that funds your wants and not your needs, and take money out of your pockets and do not give you what you need. And we said that the good debts are debts that you take on that actually improve your life. For example, the student loan, the mortgage, these are debts you take that actually improve your finances, and it's like an investment into your future. Whereas the bad debts are not investments into your future, they're just funds that take care of your wants today. And we explained for folks who are already in debt yet different ways to actually help in your repayment plan. Either you're using the snowball method or the avalanche method of tackling your debts. We explained last week that the snowball method is pretty much listing all the debts that you have, the total amount of debt you own, the interest attached to those debts, and then tackling the smallest amount first. So you're tackling the smallest amount of the debt first, moving upward. However, for the avalanche method, it's very similar to the snowball method, whereby you're listing all the debts that you have, all the amounts and the interest. But this time around, instead of tackling the one with the lowest amount, you're tackling the one with the highest interest on it first. You tackle the one with the highest interest, and when you're done with that, you move downward to the next highest interest. And these are the two methods you can use to tackle your debts. And at the same time last week, we helped you and showed you how to create your own repayment plan. If you believe that the avalanche method works best for you, you can use that to pay off your debt. And if you think that the snowball method works best for you, you can use that to pay off your debts. Now, today we are going to be talking about how and why you need to save 3 to 6 months worth of expense. And we're also going to be talking about this as an emergency fund. And for folks who are here, you'll be asking the question, Bright Thought, we did emergency funds. Why are we doing it again? Now, we talk about saving $1,000 for emergency. However, today we will be talking about saving 3 to 6 months worth of expense. It is not if life happens to you, it is when life happens, because things will happen to you. We do not know tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but you need to be prepared for that. And that's what we're going to be sharing with you, preparing you to when life happens, you are ready and you have the emergency fund set aside to be able to tackle all of these that will be thrown at you. So the objective of today is to understand the importance of emergency funds, know where to store these funds, and steps to help build an emergency fund. I want you to remember that just because the credit card company keeps sending you that credit card or keeps sending you money doesn't mean you have to use it. It's a trick. They want to just keep you in there so you can continue to use their money and continue to pay interest. You do not have to do that. That's why we're encouraging you to save for emergency. So when that time comes, you have a cushion to fall back to and not depend on the credit card. Approximately 27% of US adults have no emergency funds in the year 2024. So what's going on in America? So we will see people who are living paycheck to paycheck, or some are unemployed. Life happened and they use up all the emergency funds. And right now there is nothing in the emergency funds. And more than 42% of Americans do not have up to $1,000 saved up for emergency. Now, these are people who have some money in the emergency funds, but they do not have up to $1,000. So if there is an emergency that costs less than $1,000, they're able to tackle this. But if there is an emergency that costs more than $1,000, they have to either borrow money, take a loan, or go into more debt to be able to tackle that issue. Now, 34% of Gen Zs and 60% of baby boomers have no emergency savings. And we want to understand, why is this the case? What's going on? Back in the day, in the early 70s and the early 60s, people were more into saving, but now in 2024, 2025, we see less people actually saving. And one of the response we got from this question is that things are so expensive that we cannot save after paying off rent, after paying student loan, after paying car payments, after paying credit card. There is little or nothing left for me to save. That's why people are not saving, because there is no enough funds. But we are going to teach you how to navigate that situation. We know things are expensive. We know there is inflation in the country right now, but we're going to show you how to navigate that. What is an emergency fund? Why do I need an emergency fund? 2 weeks ago, we talked about this and we said an emergency is anything that happened unexpectedly. So like a job loss. I hear some persons are currently unemployed, perhaps maybe because they lost their job. We see that car problems, like an emergency car problems, emergency medical problems, or repair at the house. So these four items fall under an emergency, and that emergency fund you will need to take care of these issues are cash reserve. So it's you saving certain amount of your income every week, bi-weekly, or every month to actually cover these expenses. By saving, it actually helps prevent reliance on debt or credit card. Because if you have the savings in an emergency fund, you have this emergency fund and there is an emergency, you will depend on that and not into going into debt or getting credit card. Now, why is it important? Why do I need to keep saving when right now there is nothing happening to me? Well, building an emergency funds actually help you stay out of debt. It helps you less dependent on loan. It helps you less dependent on credit card. It also helps to cover basic emergencies. For example, we've already explained this. A job loss, the emergency funds will help you. Car problems, the emergency funds will help you. Medical expense, the emergency funds will help you. So when life happens to you, the emergency funds will be there to help you. It also helps reduce financial stress and anxiety and protects long-term investment from early retirement. And I'm going to explain this. Let's say you build an emergency fund, and like I said, when life happens, you thinking probably this emergency that you have costs more than $1,000. You've been saving towards your $1,000 goal, and then you've achieved that goal, and now you're saving 3 to 6 months worth of expense, and then something happens to you. You're not freaking out. Why? Because you know you have a cushion to fall back to. You know you have savings that you can use in the meantime to solve the problem when you get yourself on the feet. And for some persons who have investments like your 401k or IRA, you actually saving towards retirement. If you do not have an emergency fund and when emergencies occur, you will be forced to go to your investment account and then pull out money from this, which is not what we want. The investment is for your future self. The investment is there to protect you when you retire, not for now. So you have to build the 3 to 6 months emergency funds today so you don't end up taking up money from your 401k and from your retirement account. Now, we've talked about why you need to build an emergency funds. The question is, what's getting in the way? What's preventing you from doing this? What's stopping you from actually building that 3 to 6 months? And for some persons, it can be job loss. When you do not have a job or you do not have a stable income, it will definitely prevent you from saving that 3 to 6 months. And others can be living paycheck to paycheck. You have so many expenses, you have so many debts, and every month when your income comes in, you're trying to tackle all this debt, and at the end, there's little or nothing left to save. I understand. And other times, it may actually be impulse spending. You get into a fight with your friend, and you're like, you know what? I want to order myself something from Amazon. And then you pull up your phone and then you order something. You have an issue with your partner, and you're like, I want to go out and take me out. I want to take care of myself. This is my day. I don't want anybody or anything to spoil my day. So you go out. You're spending money based on your feelings, and that's not how it should work. You shouldn't spend money based on feelings. Now, I am not saying do not take yourself out. I am not saying don't buy stuff online. I am saying if you don't have the money, you shouldn't be buying stuff. You shouldn't be buying things that will just make you happy in the moment if you don't have the money for it. However, if you have the funds, please go ahead, buy the stuff, take yourself out. Another reason may be lack of budgeting. Money comes in, you know how much money is coming in, but you have no idea of how much is going out. You do not budget money coming in. You haven't thought about where your money is going to, how you're spending your money. If you are in this category, this may actually prevent you from saving that 3 to 6 months. And some persons think, oh, it's too little. 3 to 6 months of expense, it's so far away. I don't even know where to start from. Putting $50 a week or putting $100 a month, it's not going to mean anything. You're thinking it's too small, forgetting that little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. So you got to keep doing it and you have to be consistent no matter how little it is. If you can save $10 a month, if you can save $20 a month, if you can save $100 a month, keep doing that until you get to your goal. I understand you thinking, oh, it's too huge. Don't have that as the back of your mind. Just keep doing it little by little. It is not how long it takes you to get to that goal. The most important thing is that you have the goal at the back of your mind. And finally, what's stepping in the way is lack of priorities and lack of goals. You probably have a different priorities. To you, living now is your priority. To you, taking that vacation is your priority. To you, buying that new car is your priority. If that is your priority, you may need to realign your priorities and start thinking of other things. If you save that money today and when life happens, you have something to fall back to, that should be your goal. Being financially independent should be your goal. Getting out of debt should be your goal. Investing for your future should be your goal. These should be your priorities and not getting that latest shoe, that latest bag, or that latest car. Now, we've talked about the priorities, we've talked about the emergency funds. Where do I start from? Now, if you're joining us for the first time, we've talked about the $1,000 goal. And if you've done that, congratulations. If you're on your way of hitting that goal, I am proud of you. And if you have not started, it is fine. You can start now. After you've reached your $1,000 goal, the next thing you should be thinking about is saving that 3 to 6 month emergency funds. So for now, focus on the $1,000 goal. Do that. You shouldn't be doing both of them at the same time. Focus on one. And if you've done that, then you can go to the 3 to 6 months and do that. Where should I keep that 3 to 6 months worth of expense? We talked about high yield savings account, and then we told you it is way better to save your money in a high yield savings account than save your money in a traditional bank. Why? Because the traditional bank will give you an interest of 0.01%. However, the high yield savings account will give you an interest of 3.5 to 4.5% annually, which is good. It's like free money, which is really, really wonderful. I also want to point out that you should avoid keeping money as cash at home. Anything can happen to that money at home. It is better to put it in a high yield savings account. You're not touching it, you're not using it. Put it there, and I promise you, when emergency comes, you will have access to that money. I know some persons will say, if I put my money in a high yield savings account and I need my money urgently, it may take 3 to 5 business days for my money to come to me. No, no, no. That is not entirely true. There are some high yield savings accounts that actually gives you a debit card. So you can go to any ATM and withdraw your money instantly to take care of that emergency that you have. So that shouldn't be an issue how long you get your money. Put your money in a high yield savings account, get the debit card, go there and withdraw your money when you need it. Now let's look at our case study. Let's say Adam has a basic monthly expense, and this basic monthly expense actually covers 3 things that every human needs in life: shelter, food, and transportation. I'm going to explain what all of this means. Shelter means how much money you're paying for rent. So if you're renting, the shelter means how much money you're paying for rent. If you own a home, that's how much you're paying on your mortgage. So you need to calculate the mortgage payments, the insurance, and everything attached to it. That's going to cover shelter. So if you're renting, it's the rent, the utility bills, the water bill, everything for shelter. Now for food, food covers the grocery shopping you do every week or every month. If you are involved in meal planning, you pay company, they bring you food every month. Food comprises of that. And if you're someone who eats out every day because you do not have time to cook, that covers it. And we've been encouraging you that instead of eating out every day, it's better to have a meal plan than eat out every day because it's going to save you more money. And then finally, we have transportation. Transportation is your car notes, your insurance, and gas. So these three covers transportation. If you do not have a car, the transportation will cover your Uber. So if you Uber to your destination, you need to calculate how much money you spend on that. So these are the three basic things you need: shelter, food, and transportation. And how do you know this value? When we started this webinar, we encourage each and every one of you to go back, download your last 3 months bank statements, your last 3 months credit card statement, and we wanted you to identify where your money is going to. So go back to that document and calculate how much money you're spending on rent, calculate how much money you're spending on food, calculate how much money you're spending on transportation, and get the value. It's going to be different for different people. In this case study, Adam is spending $2,000 for shelter, for food, and for transportation combined together. You need to know your own 1 month basic expense. Now let's go back to the case study. He has a basic expense of $2,000 and he plans to save for 6 months. He wants to save a 6 months worth of expense. How much should he save? Is it A, $2,000 for 6 months? Is it B, $4,000 for 6 months? Is it $6,000? Is it $10,000? Or is it E, $12,000? How much do you think Adam needs to save for 6 months if his 1 month basic expense is $2,000? Is it A? Is it B? Is it C? Is it D? Or is it E? Adam needs $12,000 if his monthly expense is $2,000 and he's planning on saving for 6 months. For those who do not know how we got this 12,000, we simply multiply 6 months by his 1 month expense, which is 2,000, and that is how we got the 12,000 over there. Now, what are the practical ways of building these emergency funds? We've been saying this over and over and over again. What you need to do, you need to open a high heat savings account. And we've given some of the examples out there. We have Wealthfront, we have Marcos, we have Discover, and others. Do your own research and pick whichever one works best for you. These companies are amazing companies. I recommend Wealthfront, I recommend Marcus, I recommend Discover, and whichever one you want. We dropped a link for Wealthfront. So if you still have access to that link, you're still thinking about opening a high heat savings account, I want you at the end of this call to go back to the link you have and open the high heat savings account. Now, the next thing you're going to do is to set a target amount and a time frame. How do you know the target amount? You need to find out your 1 month expense. Just like Adam has $2,000 1 month expense, you have to find out yours. You need to find out how much you're spending for transportation, shelter, and feeding, and get that value. Now, for the purpose of this conversation, let's assume your monthly expense is also $2,000. Then you need to set a timeline and a target. Will you be saving 3 months worth of expense, or will you be saving 6 months worth of expense? And I know some persons will ask, should I save 3 months or should I save 6 months? Why should I be saving 3 months and not 6 months? And why should I be saving 6 months and not 3 months? Now I'm going to explain why. If you have a lot of debts, You have student loan, you have car payment, you have credit card, you have personal loan, you have all of these taking money away from you every month. Then you should focus more on the 3 months targets because you have so many other debts you need to take care of. And we always encourage you to tackle your debts. We want you to take care of debt, so we encourage you to focus on the 3 months. But if you have little or no debt, and yes, it is possible to have zero debt. It is possible to have no car note payments. It is possible to have zero credit card debt. It is possible to have zero personal notes. It's possible to have zero student loan. So if you are in this category, you have zero debt, you should focus more on the 6 months targets. So it all depends on where you are in your financial journey, 3 months or 6 months. The next thing you're going to do is to automate the savings. The reason we want you to do this is just that in case you forget, something happened, you forget, and you're not thinking about saving. Automating the saving will make sure that every month, certain amount is leaving your checkings accounts into your high heat savings accounts. It makes you not think of it too much because a lot is going on in your head. You're thinking about the kids, you're thinking about work, you're thinking about your partner. You may not have time to think about saving. But if you automate it, it gives you rest of mind. And then finally, when you have gifts, say a bonus or gift from employer or a gift card, tax refund, or for some miracle you win the lottery or you get inheritance from your parents or relative, the money you have, you can either use it to pay off your debt or use it to build your emergency funds. So these are some of the ways you can actually build your emergency funds. Now, what are some of the creative ways to grow your emergency funds? We've talked about the emergency funds. We've talked about the target amount. We've talked about the target goal, and we've talked about where to save it. Now, how do we grow that emergency funds? Number one, we can grow by pausing luxury spending. We can grow it by reducing our TV subscription, by reducing some of the subscriptions we have and do not use. We can grow by reducing the amount of time we eat out. If you eat out 4 times a week, perhaps maybe it's time to reduce it to 2 times or 3 times a week. If you eat out every day, perhaps maybe it's time to get a meal plan or you learn how to cook at home. If you are involved in impulse spending, you buy things based on feeling and not because you need that thing. I think it's time for you to sit back and think about it. Do I really need this item I'm buying or do I not need it? The next thing you can do is to sell unused items. You can go to Facebook Marketplace. You can sell some of the shoes that you've never used before, the clothes you've never used before, the games and gadgets you've never used before. It's just sitting in your room, just sitting in your apartment, collecting dust. You do not use it. It's time to sell it so someone else who needs it can use it. Another thing you can do is to actually use the cash payback method. So there are some credit card that you can have and they give you cash back for buying stuff. So the cash back you get, you can actually put all that cash back money into growing your emergency funds. And then finally, you can have a side hustle. Now, I usually recommend side hustle to people who have the time. There are individuals that don't have time. They work 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 13 hours a day. Some work 15 hours a day. So there may be no time for your side hustle. So you may want to sit this one out. However, if you have the time and you have the resources, I would recommend get a side hustle, get a temporary side hustle that you can help to build that your emergency funds. You can take freelance jobs, you can do Uber, you can do Taxify, you can do pet sitting, you can do house sitting. Find a way to get extra source of income that will help you build your emergency funds. If you do not remember anything I've said today, one thing I want you to remember is you need to grow your emergency funds. And what are these emergency? A medical bill, unemployment, house, or car repairs. These can be emergency. It is not if life happens to you, it is when life happens to you. And how do you build your emergency funds? You can do that by setting aside certain percentage of your income towards your emergency funds. You can cut down expenses and you can set a timeline to achieve that goal. And we told you how to calculate your monthly expense. You need to go back to your credit card statement, go back to your bank statement and calculate how much money you're spending on transportation, feeding, and shelter. That's going to be your 1 month saving, and then you're going to save 3 to 6 months worth of that. And one of the action items I want to leave you with today is open a dedicated high yield savings account. If you've not, do that today. At the end of this call, go to Wealthfront and open an account. Go to Discover and open an account. Go to Marcos and open an account today. One of the questions we have for you is, have you ever had an emergency that caught you off guard financially? Has there been a situation in your life? Life was perfect. Your partner loves you. Your pet loves you. And everything is perfect. Nothing can go wrong today. And then boom, something happened and then you had to spend money. I'll share a story with you. A couple of years ago, I have a friend. I had a friend and then she came to me like, hey, Livingston, I want to get my driver's license. I want to start driving. Can you teach me how to drive a car? And I'm like, you know what? I got you. Let's go to the parking lot and let's drive together. So we drove to the parking lot and we drove around. I was teaching her how to drive a car and she was like, Livingston, I think this is perfect. Driving a car is so easy. It's like, it's not rocket science. It's so easy, like going to bed at night. I can close my eyes driving. I was like, okay, that's awesome. So let's go to the next level. The next level was actually go to the freeway and drive there. And then she drove into the freeway and she was driving. We're all having a great time. This is perfect. I think I'm a great teacher. My student knows how to drive a car. I am good. All of a sudden, this person I was teaching how to drive drove into a building. And it was crazy. Nobody expected that. We were happy there was nobody there. We didn't crash into a human being. We crashed into the building. The insurance increased my insurance. The insurance took care of the building. Nobody was hurt, but we had to pay for the car repair. Now, the money we used to pay for the car repair was actually money saved for emergency. If we didn't have this emergency funds, we would have gone into debt trying to fix the car. But we were excited that we had the emergency funds to take care of that situation. So now you see, it is not if life happens, it is when life happens. Life would definitely happen to you. You need to save that emergency fund so you can have a little bit of less anxiety when that happens. Next, we want you to calculate your emergency fund goal. Know how much you're spending on shelter, transportation, and food. And the next question we have for you is, what small sacrifice would you make for peace of mind? What is that little sacrifice you're going to do today for peace of mind tomorrow? What is that small sacrifice you would make today for peace of mind? Third thing we want you to do today is to start by committing to saving $50 or $100 this week. If you can save $20 this week, do that. If you can save $50 this week, do that. If you can save $100 this week, do that. Depending on how much excess money you have, that is what you're going to put towards saving your 3 to 6 months worth of expense. And the next question we have today is, what expense will you cut this month and redirect it towards saving? What will you cut out this month and redirect them into savings? Now, we always end each webinar with a resource. So scan this QR code and it will take you to an Excel sheet that we have prepared for you. If you're someone who loves to read books, the book we're recommending today is I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Shelty. And then if you like your phone, you like playing with apps on your phone, the apps we're recommending is Wealthfront, Marcos, SoFi, or Discover. So scan the QR code and let's go to the worksheet. Now, if you scan the QR code, you should be redirected to this. What I want you to do is download the spreadsheet. So if you have Google Sheets on your phone, wonderful. If you do not have that, go to Play Store, download Google Sheets, come back and download this worksheet. This is going to help us track our 3 to 6 months worth of expense. The ones in green, you do not have to touch them. I'm going to walk you through how to get this done. So after you've downloaded this worksheet and you know how much you will be saving a month and you know whether you're going to be saving for 3 months or for 6 months, I'm going to show you how to fill this out. For the purpose of this example, let's assume your 1 month expense is $2,000 and you're saving for 6 months. So 6 months is going to be $12,000. So you put in your $12,000 as the saving goal. And then the current balance, how much money have you saved right now? Nothing. So we've saved $0 today. So the percentage saved is automatic. You don't have to touch it. What is remaining is 12,000. Why? Because we have a $12,000 goal, we have $0 put in, and then the remaining is 12,000. Now let's assume that by the end of this call, you said, you know what, Livingston, I have $1,000 and I want to throw in my $1,000 into these emergency funds. So you put $1,000 there, and then automatically the subtotal and the balance will be $1,000. Now, what is the current balance? How much have you put in? You just put in $1,000. Now you put in $1,000, you've been able to save 8.3%, and the remaining is 11,000. You see how it's changing? All you're doing is just imputing values. And then let's say by the end of next month, you're like, Livingston, I think I can put in an additional $500. So you put in additional $500 over here. It will automatically change. So you see the balance will automatically change. If the balance here is 1,500, you come over to the current balance and change that to 1,500. What you get, your savings percentage will increase to 12.5, and what is remaining for you to hit is $10,000. So there are two things you need to fill. Number one, you're filling your monthly contribution. How much money you're putting in every month. And after you put in your monthly contribution, you look at the value and the balance, and then you update your current balance. So you're just filling monthly contribution and balance. Monthly contribution and balance. The rest will automatically fills itself. Don't forget you need to start with the saving goal. When you do that, you can go to the next tab, and the next tab will show you your goal. The goal is 12,000, and then you have 3 to 6 months. How much have you saved? You saved 12.5% right now. That's how much you've saved towards your goal. So this is just a chart representation of what you put in over here. If you do not like the chart, you don't need to look at the chart. Everything you need is right here. Your saving goal, the monthly amount you're putting in, and what is left to achieve that. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. The financial influencer of the week. We will recommend Alison Bagley, and she's on social media at Inspired Budgets. She has a book which is Money Made Easy, and she walks through budgeting, debt elimination, building emergency funds, and the basic for investing. So if you're struggling with any of these aspects, this is a resource that we'd like to share with you. At the end of today, we want you to understand three things. Number one, the importance of saving, the importance of building emergency funds. Number two, where to save this emergency funds. And we say save it in a high heat savings account. And then finally, we've taught you and showed you the steps to build an emergency funds. The verse of the day is from Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6 to 8. It says, go to the ants, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer, no ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest, which means the ants saves for emergency. The ants are thinking 3 to 6 months ahead of time. You too should be thinking 3 to 6 months ahead of time. Next week, we'll be diving into an important topic that I love so much, investing. You want to know how to invest, you want to know what to invest in. By next week, we're going to dive into investing. We're going to teach you step by step on how to invest. All this while, we've been telling you get out of debt, save. It is time for your money to start working for you. Thank you so much for coming, and we cannot wait to see you again. We will see you again next week. Have a wonderful rest of your day.